Yeah.
That's a time to mobilize all the body's energy, all its resources from some endangered situation, real or imagined, in their life. So if you're living in emergency mode for an extended period of time and you keep signaling that gene, well, my goodness, it makes sense then that over time the gene's going to begin to wear out, just like taking a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Sooner or later, you're going to start making a cheaper protein. So the expression of proteins literally is the expression of life. So then, is it possible then to signal the gene ahead of the environment? The answer is absolutely yes. Because if a person's waiting for their wealth to feel abundance, if they're waiting for their health to feel wholeness and gratitude, if they're waiting for their new relationship to feel love, they're living by the old model of reality of cause and effect, waiting for something out there to change to make them feel better. And here, take away their lack or emptiness. But the moment the person embraces the emotion ahead of the event, if they understood what they were doing and why they were doing it, then if the environment signals the gene, and it does, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, when you embrace the emotion ahead of the experience, you're signaling the gene ahead of the environment. And if genes make proteins, and proteins are responsible for the structure and function of your body, you begin to become that very person. So it's not our wealth, it's not our health, it's not our new relationships, it's not the things we accumulate, it's who we become.
Yeah.
So we overcome the old self, which takes a great act of will and awareness, and we become somebody else. So then when you become it, nobody can take that away from you. In fact, you know how to do it, or you know that you are it. And an abundant person doesn't say, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, or a healthy person doesn't say, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. They don't say that, they are it.
Yeah.
So then most people have just been fooled by their senses, because their 5% of their conscious mind is holding the intent, but their body is habituated into a predictable future, or emotionally conditioned into the past. And they're saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, or I'm happy, I'm happy. And the body's going, you're miserable, you're unhappy. That thought can't even make it past the brainstem to the body. So then teaching people how to self-regulate, they have no idea when they started changing their emotional states, the amount of biological and energetic changes that take place within them and all around them. So then develop that skill and get really good at this. Then for the most part, you wouldn't be so interested in so many material things. You would be interested in facing off with yourself every day and asking, what is it that stands in the way between me and my future? What is it that stands in the way between me and my connection to the quantum field? I think that's the real question.
That is the real question. And I think, I can look to my own life to see myself in that place of grappling with the resistance to doing that, and looking at the resistance not only personally, but in the macro. All right, you shed this yoke of genetic determinism where it's not my fault, my genes are driving me this way. Well, then if you're really hard on yourself and you blame yourself for everything that happens, if you have that natural tendency, if you shed this idea that things are happening to you and it's not your fault no matter what, well, then you have to take responsibility. And if you're going to blame yourself for everything that's happened, and you're going to be really hard and you're not able to forgive yourself, well, you're not going to want to shed this idea of genetic determinism.
It's your identity now.
Right.
It becomes your identity. So it's a very interesting conversation, because this is an unlearning process. I mean, Watson and Crick, telling people that genes are a library of possibilities. So we express 1.5% of our DNA. The other 98.5% is called junk DNA, and that 1.5%, that's 23,688 genes we express. We have 140,000 proteins that make up the physical body. How could you have more proteins than genes? It should be 1-to-1, because on one gene you can have thousands of variations depending on the signal. So I hypothesize that other 98.5% has to be signaled by electromagnetism, that the receptor sites on the outside of the cells are hundreds of times more sensitive to energy or electromagnetism than they are to chemistry. Chemistry is a downward causation. So imagine the person elevating their energetic state. Well, they are going to literally select and may be the ones that create more significant and faster changes in the body. I mean, how do you explain a person in one meditation that's blind that comes out as now seeing? Like, what happened there? What about the stroke patient who was paralyzed for years is now moving a limb? I mean, it's not matter that emits a field. That's an illusion. It's the field that creates matter. So then the fundamental question is, if you change the field, will you change matter? It's none of your business to change the tumor. That's the outcropping, that's the outpicturing of changing the pattern in the field. So getting people really good at this, and the closer they can connect to that unified field, the more their consciousness is connected to that consciousness, the shorter amount of time it'll take.
Yeah, and again, going back to that resistance, I mean, we started this discussion with that little piece that could cause resistance and maybe has caused resistance. Maybe me believing that loving life is a choice, and that little bit of sadness that brought those tears to my eyes when we were doing our brief meditation before the podcast, that little bit of sadness of like, wow, I could have been doing this whole time. I'm 38 and I've loved life sporadically and I've had a very blessed life. But if I would have chosen it, I could have been more passionate and I could have loved it even more. I could have loved the people that I loved. I could have loved the places, loved my family, loved the people that I've lost. I could have done all this. And then I'm like, oh no. But that's the wrong way to think, because that's again living in the past. Why not live in the present now saying, okay, I forgive myself for the past. I did the best. And now how about here on?
Right.
And here on, let me choose this new way.
And when you're ready to wake up, you wake up. And I mean, I believe I'm an eternal being. I believe I'm eternal. And in fact, all religions that you study always talk about you're going to be around for eternity, whether it's heaven or karma or whatever, nirvana. Consciousness is going to exist. So you're going to be stuck with yourself for a very long time. Which then begs the question, well, if I'm waking up now and it's 2019 and I have this healthy body and this charisma and I'm successful, my goodness, I'm going to use the same passion, the life that I've created with those great habits, and I'm going to turn it inward, and I'm going to bloom like a flower in a new way. Because, hey, someone did it at 33 years old. You're 38. Mm-hmm. So what? There are people in this group that we're about ready to go that are in their 80s, and they could be home watching Wheel of Fortune, and they're all in. And you can't tell me you're too old to do this work. We have people in their 80s and a few in their 90s. I've seen their brain scans, and they know how to do it. And you know what? They're happy. You can't tell me you're too sick to do this work any longer. We have really sick people that have reversed very serious health conditions and even genetic disorders that there were no solutions for in medical science. And there were days that they doubted themselves. And there were days that they didn't feel like doing their meditations. And there were days they were in so much fear because the doctors told them they were stupid and they were going to die. And there were days they could have excused themselves and said, I have too much going on, I'm too busy. And they could have excused themselves and not done the work. But guess what? They did it anyway. They overcame the conditions in their environment. They overcame their beliefs. They overcame those programs, the conditioning. They overcame their body. They overcame their fear. Their love for life started to become greater than their fear of death. That's just because they made the effort to turn the battleship around. And you can't even tell me that you're too overweight or too underweight or too out of shape. I've seen it on all shapes and sizes. You can't even tell me that you never meditated before. In fact, many times people who have never meditated before have the most profound readings because they're not trying to do anything or expect to do anything or doing it their way. They're just following what you tell them to do. And in their innocence, they run right into something really big. So what? At 38 years old, practicing this, you could say then my new goal is to live for 150 years in a body that's 38 or 48. And we're measuring telomeres. We have people, many people, their biological age is way different than their chronological age. They don't care that they're 38. Their body tells them they're 28. And why? Because they're working with down-regulating genes for disease and up-regulating genes for health every day. Why? Because they understand that they can. And if you don't understand that you can and you're ignorant, then it doesn't work. So then people who actually say, I'm going to experiment, I'm going to become the scientist with my life. I'm going to measure the effects of me at cause. That's how I live. I say, all right, I'm going to change my energy. I can tell you, nobody changes. In all the years I've been doing this, nobody changes until they change their energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. And why not every day, instead of getting up and searching for your cell phone? 86% of the people that have a smartphone, the first thing they do when they wake up is they do their WhatsApp, their text, their Facebook. They take a picture of their feet, they post it on Facebook. Then they do their Instagram, take a picture of their cat, and then they link in and they check one email, the other email, they check the news, and now their attention is on everything known in their life. They reaffirm their identity, and then they go through all those routine behaviors. 95% of them, they're not even present and conscious of. There's just a group of them. Or they're remembering their problems in their past. That's how they start their day. And don't expect anything in your life to change if your environment is controlling your feelings and thoughts. And if your environment is controlling how you feel and think, and I say to you, Aubrey, why are you so upset today? Oh, well, this person is upsetting me. What you're really saying is that person is controlling your feelings and your thoughts, and that means you're a victim to your environment. So to turn that around and you start realizing your feelings and thoughts create your environment, and you start seeing the effects of you at cause,